Hi, good evening, traders. This is Krishna Joshi here with 7 Points Capital. I'm going to bring you today's trader takeaways. Pretty exciting day today. Big movement in SPYs, Qs. We sort of gapped up a little bit and gave back everything. So that's been the story of the last few days. So we've been gapping up just a little bit. China news yesterday that we might come to a resolution. Uh, Opened slightly higher and gave back pretty much. Similar story today. So the range on SPYs was pretty big and it presented quite a few opportunities. And along with that, we had a few earnings names like Canada Goose, Macy's, and we had NatGas, which is just taking off completely. It could be a short squeeze. We know the biggest catalyst is also the cold winter that's coming in, and sort of the early winter is also a huge catalyst because now if you have uh, everyone demanding gas early on in November, you can expect what December, January is going to look like. So on that anticipation and also a lot of short squeezing because these are more like forward contracts, a lot of calendar spreads keep happening in the futures market as well on the commodities. And these are some of the biggest trend following markets. So once they start going in one direction, Nat gas absolutely has taken off. So this is the Nat gas ETF. I'm going to go on the daily to show that for like almost 1 year, 11 months in 2018, Nat gas did absolutely nothing. And then in just a matter of 5 days, 5 to 7 trading days, we've gone up from 27 to pretty much 40 today. That's like a 50% move in a huge commodity market. So Nat gas was active, and so was the inverse triple leveraged inverse ETF, which was DGAZ. So I'm gonna go over. Let's start with the earnings names. So Canada Goose had a really nice open, opens all the way into like breaks above the 65, makes new highs, and that's where we open through the 67. And we're just making new highs, 52-week all-time highs as well on Canada Goose, and the stock just keeps taking off. So looking specifically at the open, we had a really nice range on the stock. So we go through all-time highs. The stock just keeps following, just green bar after the other, and then in 4 straight bars we are up from 67 to 71. It starts getting toppy, so I'm not really chasing anything here. I don't have a long position, haven't really put on a short position either. So my first short position was at 70.50, and I just put on a few under chair positions, and it goes right back up, and I end up taking 71.32 on this one. The stock again looks like it's setting up on the short side, and what I ended up doing was adding more as it was going sideways, consolidating, and now I had 71.70 as a reference point. 72 was big resistance as well, so I ended up adding 3 tiers below 71, and we had a nice little drop in Canada Goose. So I ended up covering this slightly early in the 69s, got a big drop, covered a third, did not put it on, but ended up taking the other two just below 69. So 68.80, 69 area. So ended up being a nice short, but this is pretty much where the SPYs were still going down. And look at the low on that, 62 bucks. So that's pretty much a 9 point, which is a good 12-13% drop in Canada Goose, and all thanks to the market, which was at 274.50, right when Canada Goose is making new highs at 72. And we sold off pretty much 6 points on SPYs, and we sold off 9 points on Canada Goose. Second earnings play is Macy's. Got a nice wash in this one as well. Stock looks tired, goes through 37, which was also some sort of, it went above that in the pre-market, comes back, sort of struggles. So I had a long at 36, had a quick 40-50 cent scalp on it, didn't really have size on it, and the stock was trading lower. So when I saw this pushing into 37 and failing, ended up shorting 36.40 and got a nice little drop, covered pretty much on the first drop, which was 35.80 area. So I had like a decent size on it, got a nice wash out of it, especially because I was taking out this because SPYs at this moment, I felt like if this wicks into 272, we could present as a good buy opportunity. And if SPYs go lower, if the SPYs start turning up again, we could probably see Macy's back at 36.50. So that did not happen. So we had Canada Goose, Macy's, and by this time I'm looking at UNG, which is just taking off, absolutely taking off. So this is where I got involved in the long in UNG. So put on, I was watching this, I had 37.40 as my reference point, which was around this area. So it kind of went below and then it started squeezing up, and then at the same time I'm looking at right after 12 o'clock I'm looking at DGAZ, which is just going absolutely sideways. The stock just cannot fall because the stock was down about 45% at this point, and UGAZ is up about 55% at this point. So as if you can see the 12:30 area, UGAZ sort of takes off, DGAZ goes sideways, and the drop is just so small. So I was able to get my full size in the 378 area and covered pretty much 3/10, covered everything, caught pretty much all through the bottom. One of the biggest trades, give a nice little P&L on the day, and then we just went absolutely sideways. Look at the choppiness on this, and I ended up giving back a whole lot on UNG because I saw after this big drop, covering at 310 on DGAZ right around here, right around 1 o'clock, and then I'm looking at short setups on UNG. So I ended up shorting this, comes back, I'm full size short on UNG, and I'm getting stopped out. So I ended up taking a loss on UNG, gave back a pretty big chunk on that. And the last stock I want to go over is PCG. So PCG, the wildfire news in California, this is not the first time they've been in news for the wildfire breakout, and if they'll be held responsible, we're looking at about liabilities of upwards of $15 billion. So that is the company doesn't have that much cash with them. So definitely we've seen this wildfire drop. The stock goes down from $70 to $35, pretty much becomes half because the dividend was questionable if the stock will able to keep up the dividend. And the stock cancels dividend. It's still the company is trying to recover from the first wildfire, and we have another news of the similar story. So the stock today was just getting killed right off the open when the company comes out saying they'll be taking a huge hit, a huge liability coming for them, and as a result the stock was just tanking absolutely. But in terms of setups, the stock was terrible. One of my the second worst stock on the day after UNG for me. I was looking at short setups in this all throughout. So I'd be shorting 25.80 in the money, comes back. I'm adding the 25s, nice in the money. I added up 24.25 area and then squeezed absolutely all the way to the top. So that was the kind of wickiness that we saw in PCG. Definitely not tradable for me. I ended up giving back a whole lot on this one and UNG. Otherwise, I was looking by 1 o'clock. It was a pretty good day. Could have probably stopped at that point, but I was looking at a good momentum coming in from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. I saw a lot of setups that I liked, kept pushing with size, kept pushing a lot of setups, but ended up giving back everything I made in the morning in PCG on the first drop. I only had a small position, but I was able to capture quite a big move on that one. Off of the 28.30, ended up getting like a nice 1.5 on this. So this was a nice short for me. Did not get any of this, but here when I started shorting, I was getting stopped out. I was going bigger in size, and it was more frustrating because I'd probably get stopped out in the 90s, 70s. If I had put a stop in, you'd get slipped all the way to the top because of no liquidity in this. The stock was also very volatile. So the thickness, the depth in the order book on the level 2 was also not very thick. So it would have a few hundred shares on both sides, which explains why I was getting slipped all the way to the top. Nonetheless, PCG, terrible stock for me today. It's probably going to be an avoid for me tomorrow. EIX is another one if you guys want to look at similar names but not as craziness going on. So those were quite a few stocks. I'm gonna watch Cisco and Walmart for tomorrow. That's top of my watch list. I'm gonna keep watching UNG, DGAZ, and USO has seen some sort of reversal after a huge sell-off on the daily. I'm gonna show you. Look at that. Absolutely getting killed from 16 bucks to 12 bucks. The stock is showing some sort of life, ended up finished up, finally a green day on this. So let's see what tomorrow has in store for us. I'm gonna watch Cisco, probably Macy's and Canada Goose as well. So fewer names, but we'll be looking at my A+ setups in those. All right, thanks again for watching, guys. This is Krishna Joshi from the Florida desk. If you know anyone who is experienced looking at joining a prop desk, looking to trade alongside me and Stan, feel free to apply on the 7 Points Capital website, and you'll have instructions how to apply from there. Thanks again. Have a good one.